Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Ernest Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. One of the biggest news stories that occurred this past Saturday in college basketball was the Wake Forest court storming that happened after they beat the Duke Blue Devils. And a Wake Forest fan ran into Kyle Filipowski and injured him during the court storming. I'm going to go over whether I believe that the NCAA should ban court stormings, or if I believe that there should be a way that court and field stormings can still exist in college athletics without being banned. Because that is the age-old question that has been going on for a very long time in college sports. Because every single time that there is a court storming or a field storming in college football, people get worried that stuff like this can happen. And it has happened in the past where players have gotten injured in situations like this where they're trying to get off the floor and the fans are going nuts, rushing onto the court or the field, and a player can get injured. And stuff like this should not happen. And it's sad too, because this is one of the most fun part of sports, when your team, being an underdog, can knock off an opponent that you haven't beaten in a long time or you weren't expected to beat, or it's one of the biggest wins that your school has gotten in a long time, and your student section, your fans, you just want to rush out onto the field and rush out onto the court. And it's an awesome sight to see on television, and it's an awesome sight to see when you're actually at the game as well. And to ban this, to get rid of it out of college athletics, it would really stink, because it would just be another thing that is so cool and such a great part of sports that you would lose if you don't have the stormings. Look at the NFL and the NBA. They never storm the floor because it's a professional basketball team, and if you have great players, you're expected to win a lot of games. If you stink, no one's just going to really care even if you do win a game. So a little bit of that magic would be lost in college sports if you do ban these sort of events. And I think that's a big problem when you talk about NIL and a lot of this other stuff going on in college sports right now, and it's making it more professional. This would just be another thing that you lose out of college sports. Now, I already know if you are listening to me saying what I'm saying, and especially if you're a Duke fan, you are going to be disagreeing with what I'm saying right now. You probably are on the side of John Shire that they need to ban court stormings. And I am not saying that that is necessarily wrong, because stuff like this is getting out of hand. If you look at the clip, Kyle Filipowski got run into by a fan pretty hard, and this should not happen. As you can see, the fans are rushing onto the floor, and one of the fans ran right into Kyle Filipowski, and it looked like the fan was looking right at him as well. So there's a possibility that that guy was taunting Filipowski when he ran by him, and maybe it was accidental when he ran into him. He might not have been trying to hurt him, even though Kyle Filipowski disagrees. He says the Wake Forest fan tried to hurt him in the court storm. Several fans, in fact, and that's just a bad look for court stormings, because this is all avoidable if you would just go out onto the floor in a more well-mannered way and you just don't go in a frenzy. I know that you are excited that you won, but if you are intentionally running on the floor and you see a guy like Kyle Filipowski of the other team and you run into him, that's not cool. That should not happen at all. And that's where the human element of this comes into play, of how dumb people are today in a lot of things. Why do this? You know, if you do stupid stuff like this, that it's going to get banned. It's kind of like driving a car and you have your phone in your hand and you're texting while driving, and then you wreck into another car and you might injure somebody or even kill somebody because you were not paying attention to the road. And if you hadn't been paying attention to the road, you would not have wrecked. And now they're banning people from texting while driving, and people are upset about it. I'm losing my freedoms. But it's stupid if you are not paying attention to the road. And this is the same thing here. If you would pay attention and not run into an opposing player on the other team, if you would not do these sorts of things and not possibly injure somebody, the possible ban wouldn't even be talked about right now. Nobody would be saying anything if Wake Forest did not have injured anybody for Duke. No one would be saying anything if you had the Caitlin Clark incident either recently. Caitlin Clark, when there was a court storming in the Ohio State game, she got roughed up a little bit, even though it was nowhere near as bad as Kyle Filipowski. But this stuff has to stop, or court and field storming will be banned. And it's just a sad thing to see. I do not want court stormings to get banned. I do not want field stormings to be banned, because they make the game so much more fun. When you see an event like this happen, especially when it does doesn't happen all the time, or if it happens to a team like Wake Forest where you don't have success all that often, it is so gratifying to see. But I do believe that if stuff like this continues to happen, it will be banned in the future. And I can't really complain at the NCAA if they do ban it, because of the fact you got to keep players safe. You cannot have players getting injured like this, like Kyle Filipowski, because of rogue fans going out there on the floor and not taking any consideration to the players. Now, this is a possible solution. My buddy Will said wait till the other team leaves and then let the students onto the court. And I agree that that is definitely a possible solution for court stormings. If you would just wait like 30 seconds to a minute to let the opposing team's players and coaches get off the floor, and then you can run rampant onto the floor, that might fix the problem. But unfortunately, again, going back to that human element, you know that fans are probably going to end up running out on the floor before they are allowed to, and this stuff's going to still continue, and then eventually they're going to end up banning this altogether anyway. So we as fans have to do a better job when you are at games, and if you are going to court storm, you can't do this, or eventually they will be banned by the NCAA, and the NCAA will be in the right to do it, because you can't have stuff like this happen. Jon Scheyer was very mad that this happened as well. Take a listen to what he said.
Disappointed we lost. But look, for me, I'm more concerned about the well-being of our guys. You know, Flip sprains his ankle. When are we going to ban court storming? Like, when are we going to ban that? Like, how many times does a player have to get into something where they get punched or they get pushed or they get taunted right in their face? And it's a dangerous thing. And I don't want that to take away from the game that Wake played.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. Wake Forest, their players played fantastic. Nothing should take away from their effort in this basketball game. He's absolutely right. But normally I would be like, come on, you're ruining the fun. But yet again, Jon Scheyer is not wrong for saying that the NCAA should ban court stormings, because this is becoming a serious problem. People are not being considerate and aware of what they are doing, and sometimes they're doing it on purpose, and that's just sad. Even though I'm not 100% sure that those fans tried to hurt Kyle Filipowski, Filipowski seems to think so, and looking at all the footage, it doesn't look all that good, especially when the one guy was taunting him, that he didn't try to run into him. And hopefully Filipowski's not injured too much, and he will be able to return soon for the Duke Blue Devils. But this is a sad sight to see in college sports, that one of the best parts of the game could end up being banned because of bad fans running out onto the floor. I don't think it should be banned. I think, like people have said, they need to find a way to find these teams to a point where if the fans run out on the floor, that school will get fined a lot of money. Or maybe you take away home games from a team. People have pointed that out, where if you run out on the floor of the field and you hurt somebody, or you do it before the time is allotted to you that you can, if that gets instituted, then maybe taking away a few home games from that team will incentivize fans not to do it and follow the rules, where you can continue to have court stormings. I know you want to go out there right when the game is done and not wait a 30 seconds to a minute, but if that is what it takes to keep court stormings or to fine these teams a lot of money when fans violate the rules, or if you take away home games, if that has to happen to keep court stormings, I am all for it, because I do not want to lose this part of college football and college basketball. But if instances like this keep happening where fans are injuring players, then the NCAA is going to eventually ban court stormings and field storming, and that is going to be a very sad day in college sports. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, whether you are in favor of an all-out ban by the NCAA to ban court stormings and field stormings. You think that they have no place in sports anymore because of how bad fans have been recently and hurting players and not taking any consideration to the opposing players, or whether you're like me and fans need to do their part to improve, and also rule changes can be instituted that will be able to keep court stormings and field stormings in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.